speaker, our Alice Wilson Fellow, Stéphanie Larmagnat.
I'm on? Okay, thank you. So I will tell you next.
Next.
So this is a 2-year project that I've done here at the GSE as an Alice Wilson Fellow. The project was founded by EGP and it was directed by Denis Lavoie. Next slide. We were also working with several colleagues from the academia, from the INRS here in Quebec City. And thanks to that partnerships, we had partial funding, financial support from NRCan through engaged projects. Next. So the topic was to work on a Silurian carbonate formation, which is approximately 300 meters thick, and it was known to be naturally porous and fracture formation. Within this formation, very striking macroporous intervals, as you can see on the slide, at the outcrop and in the subsurface. And so these macroporous fracture intervals within the Silurian carbonate formation called the SEBEC are known and interpreted as hydrothermal dolomite in nature. So they had a potential to be hydrocarbon reservoirs, and that's why, next slide, we had access, thanks to a partnership with a local exploration company, we had access to a lot of data, well, a great amount of data from the outcrops as well as from the subsurface. And we were using an integrated approach that is classical to reservoir characterization, but we were focusing on new aspect linked to the EGP, which was understanding the reservoir heterogeneity and how it's formed and how it could evolve, and relate that knowledge, that understanding to the geothermal properties of the reservoir units. So today I will concentrate only on 2 parts of the results. One aspect which are the city development, well, we cannot see here, and the second aspect, how we really link those reservoir characterization aspects to the geothermal energy potential. Next slide. Okay, so very quickly, because I have presented this quite a bit last year. With the CT scan, we set up a new core holder and a core flooding system, an in-house newly developed setup. Basically, what we can do is that we put our samples, pluricentimetric samples, in several core orders that are put in series. We put the samples inside, we scan them using a medical CT scan, and so we have an image in a dry state, then we float the sample out of the CT scan, and we rescan the sample when they are saturated with water, and then the mathematical subtraction of the 2 data sets produce 3D porosity images and 3D porosity data sets. So we tested the methodology on reference samples, and it works pretty well. We have proven that we can produce reliable core average porosity value that are really consistent with conventional methods. And on top of that, we were able, because we have a user-friendly setup, we can scan several centimeters long cores, and we can produce centimetric to metric scale porosity profile. On top of that, we can also have rapidly very nice visualization of the porosity network. And we actually have a paper that was accepted 3 weeks ago. So the main goal here, the main idea here to keep in mind is that we produce reliable estimates, completely comparable to conventional methods, and we have nice imaging of heterogeneity, which is crucial in reservoir property characterization. And we can also have porosity profile along depths that can be correlated to other indirect petrophysics tools. Next slide. So now moving on the geothermal property assessment, what we wanted to have is what we wanted to do is to know what the thermal conductivity of the sample of the faces will be. So what we did, we went back to the field, we resample the key location, so key reservoir faces from in the area, and then from the same set of sample, we did thermal conductivity measurements using the infrared scanner, thermal conductivity scanner, and then we also measure permeability using so far probe permeameter on the field and in the lab. When we went back, we will eventually have in the future, with our collaboration with NRCan, other permeability measurements. But so far, that's what we have. And what is important here is that we were able, on the same set of sample, to correlate the thermal conductivity and the permeability and the porosity, because we also have porosity from our CT scan methodology. So having a consistent data sets that links the thermal property to the petrophysical conventional properties. Next slide. Why we do that? Why this is important in our efforts to check and test how we can transfer our knowledge and know-how of a reservoir characterization to a geothermal reservoir characterization, coupling the thermal property and the petrophysics into a thermophysis concept, which is what is presented on the left here, is crucial. The thermophysis concept was developed for low and mid enthalpy geothermal setup context, in Europe. And from this paper from Sass and Götz in 2012, what we have is a compilation of carbonate, sedimentary, carbonate and clastic faces, compiled in terms of permeability on the x-axis and thermal conductivity on the y-axis. And this is crucial because using these two types of properties, you can correlate, or you can see how the properties of the faces relate to a geothermal system, and how, to which type of heat transfer you will be able to work with. I put 4 end members in our case in the thermophysis diagram that was produced from Europe data again. So the key point here is that where we have the sandstone units that are here to compare with regular petrophysical properties, but the two other types actually that I plotted are the hydrothermal breccia that are quite interesting because they have pretty high conductivity, thermal conductivity, and the fine-grained sandstone, which is one of the end members of the carbonate faces. And in terms of characterizing our system here in this case study, we can see that we will have a petrothermal system moving toward the transitional system. So what we could do, not in terms of producing electricity, but what we could do with this type of system would be to rely on conductivist heat transfer, and have an enhanced permeability system to work with. The other key aspect that I wanted to point out here is that in terms of heterogeneity, spatial heterogeneity, in terms of samples, at the size of the samples, we have a lot we can do using the same methodology that we developed for the porosity and the one that we applied for the thermal conductivity. We can do a great deal of work to have high resolution properties in 3D. Thank you.